Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. This is The Amateur, where we're here just to talk life, hobbies, politics, ideologies, what have you. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking the Alex Jones effect. But before I get into that, hello, it's been a long while. I've been in school, been super busy with that. Just finished finals not too long ago. Been also helping a friend out with surgery, so I've just been everywhere and not really focused on here, but I'm super excited to start getting into this channel a little bit more, especially over the holidays, and like hopefully carving out a solid schedule in the new semester that I can still produce videos a little bit more frequently than what I have been. Before I begin, because I am in school and everything that I do and like just the craziness of people, I just want to start off with saying anything that I say on this channel or in this video are my own personal opinions. These are my own personal beliefs. I'm not a representative of any one organization or any school or anything of that nature, profession, what have you. These are independent thoughts. These are all on my own. So take them with a grain of salt because I'm literally an amateur. It's in the title. So where to begin? Okay, so this is a little bit of old news right now, and there's a little bit more updates than things that I have previously thought on it. But essentially talking about the Alex Jones effect, and this is just understanding all the issues that were kind of brought up with the case of Alex Jones and the craziness that it was. I know its subject has kind of dropped from the media as of late, especially since we've just passed voting season and everything that has to do with that. But just to kind of go back, so I want to say that the information right now is that Alex Jones, who is known to be a wild conspiracy theorist, was taken to trial by the parents of the Sandy Hook incident for the rhetoric and the things that he was saying and what it was causing some of his listeners to do, which was harassing them, calling them, making threats against them, what have you. And this led to the court finding that Alex Jones owes the parents of Sandy Hook $1.5 billion. And that's just insane. Like, whether you do or don't agree with what Alex Jones was saying, which I'm not going to speak on that at all. And I'm not saying that the Sandy Hook incident didn't happen, because it obviously did. And there were children who definitely died that shouldn't have. But $1.5 billion? Okay. So just to start off, we're going to define some terms. So just kind of understanding, as Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist, like, what is a conspiracy?
That take us to the letter C. C is for conspiracy. Can anybody tell me what conspiracy is?
Yeah, I could tell you. My dad says conspiracy is just a word that black people use as an excuse for why they always get in so much trouble.
And like, for me, a conspiracy is like something that's, at least a conspiracy theory is something that's not necessarily true, but it also can't be proven false either. And just keep that in mind, and we'll see what Google has to say about what a conspiracy theory is. So conspiracy in general is defined as a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. Whereas also a conspiracy theory is an explanation for an event or a situation that invokes a conspiracy by sinister and powerful groups, often political in motivation, when other explanations are more probable. This is the Wikipedia definition. So again, like how it's kind of saying, it's another explanation for a series of events that aren't as probable as what could be. But again, like my understanding of conspiracy theory is, while it can't be proven to be true, because if it's true, then it's not a conspiracy theory, it's just what happened. But a conspiracy theory also can't necessarily be proven false either, or else it would just be a lie. Okay, so like the flat earthers, I wouldn't call them conspiracy theorists about the earth being flat, because of all the experimentations and things that we've done that would prove the earth to be round. And that's just what makes sense. Versus, what was it? I can't remember what. Oh, the freaking Illuminati. That was a whole conspiracy theory as far as there being a secret evil group of people in Hollywood who have like signed their souls away to a specific group. That was like a whole big thing in like the early thousands. And it kind of fell away as far as conspiracy theories go. But I'm saying, I don't know. Can't be proven false. And so the next term to understand is a hoax. So a hoax is meant to be a deception, and then Wikipedia says a hoax is a widely publicized falsehood so fashioned as to invite reflexive, unthinking acceptance by the greatest number of people of the most varied social identities and the highest possible social pretensions to gull its victims into putting up the highest possible social currency in support of the hoax. So the whole point of a hoax is to deceive. And like the people who are running a hoax are not going to want to give the hoax up. Okay? So again, keep these things in mind. A conspiracy theory is not necessarily false, but it's not necessarily true, but you also can't prove it to be false either, as well as a hoax being some sort of massive deception that it's not true that that the people running the hoax want others to believe at a wide range of levels. And so again, in kind of understanding Alex Jones' position, like, again, I don't think I've ever watched a single episode of this man. I'm not a follower of him. I'm not a supporter of him. But just hearing the trials and, like, the rhetoric against him and, like, everything going on, like, obviously it just seems something fishy is going up. Because, like, I don't know. I don't think for him being this singular man, and I say that like I really don't know how widespread his following is or how much of a sway he has on public perception, though my understanding is most people think of Alex Jones as a kook. Like, he gets some things right, but he's also just a kook. Like, take his words with a grain of salt. Like, you might look into it, you might not, but like how hard and fast that people are trying to go against him, knowing that this is the things that he pushes out. And knowing that the government, somebody say leftists, have control of most of the things that are spread with the government, and they're going after him so hard and for such a high price, it makes you curious. It's like, why are you going so hard on what seems to be innocuous information? So I think my main confusion right now as well is just the timeliness of this particular trial, because I want to say everything, and again, like, I'm not super informed on the trial or Alex Jones in particular, but from my understanding, the rhetoric that they are speaking of is what he was saying 10 years ago when the event first happened. Like, I'm not sure if it was something that Alex Jones brought up again in recent years, and so now they're trying to make a case against him, or if it was just like, I'm not sure why 10 years later, 10 years after the incident, that they're going after Alex Jones for saying what his rhetoric is. Because I think the understanding is that the claims that Alex Jones was making, and these are his claims, I'm just repeating them, this isn't me like saying that I believe it or anything, but the claims that Alex Jones was making about the Sandy Hook incident is that it was a setup by the government. I don't think he was necessarily saying that it didn't happen or that children didn't die, but I think he was accusing some of the parents of being actors, and he said this based off one particular clip. I'll try to see if I can't find it because it's really hard to find.
It looks like he's saying, okay, do I read off the card? He's laughing, and then he goes over and starts basically breaking down and crying. So let's show that clip.
Somebody is there, and they're getting ready to make come to the microphone, so listen to her. Okay. My name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the same Hook Elementary School shooting here in Connecticut.
I haven't touched this. Okay, all I know is they're seizing on it They staged Fast and Furious. They had a Gunners of America. I said on my own show, Larry Pratt, that they staged Fast and Furious that killed thousands. Our government, to like the Second Amendment, they stage anything.
But essentially, one of the fathers appeared to have been laughing before it was time for him to go on stage and give a speech, and then that's when he turned on the waterworks. And so for Alex Jones and for his perception and for his understanding of that incident, it seemed odd, it seemed out of place, and he would characterize that as someone who is an actor who is trained to do that, to be able to switch up their emotions, to display different things to an audience, which it's not a crime. So, but that is my understanding of what happened, and that's why he made those claims, among other things. I'm not sure if he was saying that children didn't die or that it was all a fakeness or fake news. But during the time of the incident, this is Alex Jones reporting live from his little studio and having callers call him in to give updates on the incident of Sandy Hook. He was saying that whatever happens, the government, this is going to be used as a tool to try to lock down on Second Amendment rights, which is an accurate statement.
This month in the newsletter that recommends, based upon statistics, they no longer even doing a 2 or 3 officer response, waiting for them to get there, that a single officer response is better, because statistically, it's almost like a trained or ingrained response to these people. When they are confronted with police, they either kill themselves or they give up. We see that repeatedly.
Only the ultimate coward will want to go kill children, so of course, and in some of this, like the Batman shooter, I mean, that whole thing is psychotropic drugs up one side and down the other. You can't debate it. Thank you so much, sir, for your call. We appreciate that, Sean. You know, you hear these police, they really sound like good men, don't they? But then you got the government on top of them that's as corrupt as the day is long. And if they try to come for people's guns, folks, it's going to be really bad news. I'm just having so much dread right now. And I just think, when you got small children, this really gets to you. That's why the globalists use children's deaths to go after our guns, because they know it gets to us. You know, these liberals would rather have the children aborted immediately, but if they can, if they can use them being killed by these shooters, then that's even better for them.
Because that is what happened, so that also isn't false. Whether you want to say that was because of, I don't know, like that was his statement of the incident or triggering Sandy Hook, triggering a series of laws and or policies that kind of locked down on Second Amendment rights. I want to say Connecticut, but either way, in that area, that is what happened. But I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So I think just in understanding the government, like our U.S. government has a poor history of participating in cover-ups or trying to hide or maintaining secrets, which they still do, which is within their prerogative, but we can't act like that's just not a thing that's within the government's interest to not necessarily release all the information that's pertinent to the government, to the public. Like they just don't. That's the whole Area 51, the whole UFO program, a lot of stuff with the CIA, the FBI, etc. We know that the government is not forthcoming with all information. They're not going to be, that they have an agenda, that there are some things that they have arms of the government that are pretty much the part of their thing is to not release information to the public for secrecy purposes, whatever, whether they are warranted or not. We know that that's like a thing. And again, just historically speaking, our government is not perfect and they have done horrible things. And I've tried to cover it up. The Tuskegee experiments is another one of them. That was, I think, one, if you weren't aware of it, is like they gave, I don't know if they gave or they tested syphilis on a bunch of black men to kind of just see what happens or something along those lines. I'll throw up the information on there. I'm not super well versed in the in that particular scandal, but again, it's a thing that existed, and if it weren't for whistleblowers, like there's a lot of things that happen within our U.S. government that we just would not know about as a public because they don't want us to know. So that's not necessarily a conspiracy. That's just a observation of things that have happened, of patterns, and what is currently happening. So there's that understanding that the government has had that history. The next thing is again understanding with the first claims of Alex is that whether the Sandy Hook incident was a hoax or not, that the government would be using this to further an agenda of striking down or cracking down on Second Amendment rights. That's not even anything new per se. Almost every time that there is a school incident, I wouldn't say necessarily just a gun violence in general, because you look at some other cities where that's a little bit more prevalent or more common, and it doesn't seem to be important enough to make laws there. But at least for school incidents, there's been a history of pushing more laws and restrictions on carrying guns, and just removing that freedom to exercise the Second Amendment. So just like I said previously, following the incident, and this was Connecticut, just following the incident, many people would identify Sandy Hook as being that trigger, as being the cause, or as being the reason for introducing a lot of new bills and laws that restricted the Second Amendment rights within Connecticut. I think one of them was that Connecticut pushed a ban on assault weapons, which is an oxymoron, to be quite honest. Like, what does that even mean, to ban an assault weapon? Because if you're assaulting anyone, that's already like an issue, and anything that you assault someone with becomes the weapon. So you can have a baseball bat, and if you're going around bashing people in the head with a baseball bat, that baseball bat is an assault weapon, and it's not necessarily something that you're banning in the entire state. So I don't know. Like, again, like a pencil can be an assault weapon, especially if you're John Wick. I'm lame. But anyway, so like just kind of understanding that was the first claim, that whether it was a hoax or not, whether this was a setup or not, either way, it was that the Sandy Hook incident would be used to crack down on Second Amendment rights, and that's what happened. So that wasn't an issue there. It shouldn't be an issue there for the things that he said. The second thing, again, as I mentioned before, was that he was accusing, or he made the claim or accusation that the parents within the Sandy Hook incident were crises actors. And again, like I said before, it's like this is based off the video or the clip that he saw, and what Alex Jones's perceptions to be of the sudden switch or sudden change in behavior, to be something akin to an actor. And it was because of these claims that led to death threats from many followers or fans of Alex Jones towards the parents. And so from both of those things, or particularly the latter, the parents are now suing Alex Jones for emotional damage, which, yes, is important to understand. And like, maybe if it was to cover their therapy fees, or like if they had to go into therapy or increase their security because they did literally feel threatened for their lives, or because they had emotional damage, they had to go seek therapy, and now they want Alex Jones to cover those costs of therapy, that would be, I feel, a more reasonable tit for tat for the rhetoric that Alex Jones was saying, even though he wasn't necessarily... I don't know if Alex Jones told his fans to like, hey, go call these people up to test and see if they are the actors or not. Like, I don't know if that was the case, but Alex Jones wasn't the person doing the actual calling or the harassing, but he's the one that's being implemented and implicated for those damages. But again, it's like, it'd be different if those families were asking for those compensations, like because they had to increase their security, or because they had to go now seek a therapy or a psychologist or something along those lines to deal with the new wave of emotional damage that they've been receiving from these people. That would be the monetary equivalent. Like 1.5 billion just seems super arbitrary. Like, why that number? Why that number? Like, why is that so high? It just seems ridiculous to me. I don't know what his net worth is, Alex Jones' net worth is, but I doubt that it's that high. I could be wrong, but I sincerely doubt it. But I think part of the problem, though, as well, is because, especially of late, it was brought a little bit more to light with President Trump and his entry into office. But that's not to say that the deception of the media hasn't been going on for longer than that, especially when you have very opinionated and politically viewed media sites, that they might not be reporting the whole story, or they'll be reporting a very one-sided or very not inaccurate, but I mean, it's inaccurate if it's not the complete picture. Like if they leave out parts or leave out information, whatever. That's not, so the whole point I mean to say there is that the media has not proven itself to be trustworthy or to be a valid source of information. Again, especially if you're going to assume that the government has some sort of control or sway in what is being pushed out, that there is a chance that whatever you're seeing from the mainstream media might not be entirely true. And it's reasonable to question. It's always going to be reasonable to question whether you like it or not. And it is because of that lack of trustworthiness from the media that skepticism of the things that they report is valid, unfortunately. Like, we would want to live in a society where we have an unbiased media, where if an event happens, they either wait to report on it, or they report what they know and they say that's what they know. They don't try to make assumptions about anything, etc., etc. And so essentially in this as well, because this then at the time, and I know Kanye West has came out and said a lot more crazy things. He said a lot more crazy things. Poor guy is going through it. He needs to just chill for a little bit. Kanye West will be another video. But essentially at the time, this led to another family, I want to say George Floyd's family, wanting to sue Kanye West, or Ye, if he wants to be called Kanye West, wanting to sue him for saying that George Floyd didn't die by the knee to the neck. He died from overdose on fentanyl. And this is why I'm calling it the Alex Jones effect, because it seemingly there's now this incident where someone makes their own opinion from a series of events that happen, and now you're having someone sue them for those words that they're saying, even though they're not necessarily wrong. And so by this, I think the whole point of this and the Alex Jones effect is this understanding of free speech and where the limits are, where the lines are. Because I think there needs to be an understanding of someone's own personal opinion versus an accusation that's meant to lead to or cause harm. So I think Alex Jones should not be punished for saying that based on there's several things. The first one is that it's okay to question the narrative that the government puts out, or to make sure that we say question, maybe testing, whatever it is, to make sure that whatever the government is saying or what they're pushing out is true. That's called journalism for some, as far as with going out, seeking the facts. What is the truth of the matter? Because we can't always trust the things that the government says, because they're not known for being trustworthy. It is what it is. It's not a good thing. We don't want to endorse it, but like at this time and place, there's not a lot of trust between the people and the government, especially with how COVID was handled, the information that was put out, the change in information that was put out. Masks should be worn, masks shouldn't be worn, masks should be worn. It's not an issue, except for now it is an issue, and now it's not really an issue, or maybe we're making it more of a big deal than it needs to be. There's just a lot of uncertainty, not a lot of transparency between the decisions that are being made, etc., etc. So it is okay to question the government and what their motives are and what they're doing. That's not a crime, and it should not ever be a crime. Whether we lived in the most moral and upright society, and they were doing everything right, if someone wanted to question to make sure that they're still doing everything right, like that shouldn't be an issue. So one, it's okay to do that, and then two, it should be okay to observe something and come to your own conclusion on those observations, and let that be in the public square for people to decide the sanctity or the truthiness or the verity of those words and what's being said, especially because there is a lot of uncertainty. So for Alex Jones, like I think it's just, there's just a complete difference in understanding one's own personal opinion, like saying, so one thing might say, let's take a perfume and take something like Dior and their Sauvage, and I'm only saying that not as an endorsement. This is just like the only one. This is like the only one that I can think of at the top of my head. So this is not like endorsement or anything. I'm not saying anything against Dior, but essentially you take something like Dior, you spray one of their perfumes, and to you, like say to you or to me as a person, I smell their perfume and like, this smells like feces. To me, it smells like feces to me. Like it smells really, really bad. Like I don't like the smell of it. Like you're saying, so to say, I don't like this smell because it smells like feces to me. Like I should be allowed to say that because that's my own personal opinion and my experiences based off the chemicals and how they hit my nostrils. It was not great. And that's if I went to post that online, say I was like a super influential influencer on Instagram or something, or TikTok, and I was giving my whole job is to give reviews on perfume, and I said that, and that might lead to people not buying Dior's perfume. Like that, just, it is what it is, because that's just, because other people took my opinion as what it, like the influencers, they thought they were gonna go along with my opinion and maybe decide not to buy it. Dior company can't come out and sue and say like, you're not allowed to say that about my product. However, if I said, ooh, I don't like this, I think Dior's it smells like feces, and so because it smells like feces, I think Dior's perfume has fecal matter in it. That's like a little bit different. That's where we get into the gray area of free speech and your opinion versus what's accusatory and what might be damaging. And to accuse some a product, a perfume product, of having fecal matter in its substances, that might be saying like, hey, we actually don't have fecal matter in our things. You can't say that because it's not true. We don't actually. I like you can say like, yes, you might not like the smell of the perfume. It might smell like fecal matter to you, but that doesn't mean that there's actually fecal matter in the perfume. You know what I'm saying? So a fine line, it's a gray line, it's a gray area. And I think Alex Jones observations and Kanye West's observations are in that gray area of personal opinion based off the conclusion that they came to from the facts versus the others of the opinions that the government or the media might want us to come to based off the facts. So based off the facts that, again, George Floyd was, referring back to Kanye West, the fact that George Floyd wasn't breathing prior to any sort of apprehension of George Floyd from the police officers. He was saying that he wasn't breathing while he was in the car.
I know I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Take my oxygen back. I just told me, man. I can't breathe.
It's the fact that he did have lethal amounts of fentanyl in his system.
New documents filed in the George Floyd case give new information about the medical examiner's findings in Floyd's autopsy. Handwritten notes of a law enforcement interview with Dr. Andrew Baker, the Hennepin County medical examiner, say Floyd had 11 nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl in his system. Quote, if he were found dead at home alone and no other apparent causes, this could be acceptable to call an OD. Deaths have been certified with levels of 3. In another new document, Baker says that is a fatal level of fentanyl under normal circumstances.
A symptom of fentanyl is your breathing stopping. There is a possibility. I know what they said. The coroners or the I think it's the coroners, the people who do the evaluations on the cadavers. I think they said, yes. What the issue is that there were 2 different reports about how much fentanyl was in the system and whether it was a lethal amount versus a non-lethal amount, whatever, blah, 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 blah. point of the matter, though, I think he did have a lethal amount of fentanyl in his system at his time of death. And he was exhibiting all the symptoms of a fentanyl overdose, and fentanyl overdose / opioid overdose is one of the leading causes of accidental deaths in this country at this time. So it's not a wild leap to be like, I don't think the knee to the neck was the thing that killed him. You might even be able to say that it was a contributing factor or whatnot. Like if the knee wasn't there, he might have been dead, versus if he didn't have fentanyl and the knee was still there, he also would have lived. And that's kind of understanding the actual effect and the role that the fentanyl in the system had actually played on his body. For Alex Jones being in that gray area of him coming to the conclusion that he believes that based off the difference in performance or behavior of the father, that there is a potential for there to be for these parents to be crisis actors with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of distrust for the government. That is a very gray area. I think that the severity which they took it against Alex Jones is a little bit alarming. And as you saw, it is starting to open the door to other things of people saying what their own opinions are based off the facts, and the conclusions that they're coming to based off the facts, being sued over, or having legal action taken against them for that. And I think we definitely need to be very, very cautious. We should definitely have if the alarm bells aren't ringing by now, like, you're not paying attention. The point of this as well was just the ability to question the accuracy of historical events. And I don't know, is the issue the fact that the parents are still around? And I'm saying it's an issue, but it's like the fact that everyone who was actively involved with the situation, whether it's the shooter themselves, the kids, the parents of the kids, like the fact that they're still alive and well, like if we were far, far into the future and those personnel had died and someone came to question the accuracy or whether Sandy Hook was a hoax or not, if that wouldn't be the issue. Like, it's the issue the fact that there are people that are unfortunately kind of still subject to the whims of people who may be in agreement or in accordance with the observations that Alex Jones seems to be making. And I think, again, it's like in general, we have to have the ability to question the accuracy of historical events. That is the whole, like, I like to try to tie everything back to Christianity, but that is the whole point of Christianity and the Bible, and like the people who don't believe in the historical accuracy of the Bible and the people who do believe in the historical accuracy of the Bible. Like, we have to be able to have that ability to question. Like, that's how you are able to know. And like, it's just like, I don't know. I just think when we stop or disallow people from doing that, we're going to run into a whole host of problems, because it's important for us to be able to question those things. And I say this as a believer, like you, to be able to get to that point of conviction, you have to question, and you have to ask those questions. Like, why should we believe in the Bible? Like, why should we believe in the resurrection? Why should we believe that why should we believe that we are in a world of sin? Why should I believe in God? Like, we have to be able to ask those questions and be able to question the historical accuracy of the Bible, and like if it did or didn't happen, if it is or isn't in accordance with the way of the world. My understanding is that it is. A lot of other people's standing is that it is not. And they're lost, quite literally. Not to be like conceited or anything, but I mean, just saying, like, we have to be able to have that ability. And so I am wary of how and why that they are, like, just how hard and like why they seem to be going after Alex Jones with such vigor. And I'll have to see if there's any other particular updates that I might just do like a voiceover for or something. But insane. We are in an insane world right now. But yeah, so I just thought that was interesting, the Alex Jones effect. I don't know if we are in the era of the Alex Jones effect, but I think it is just definitely something to be cautious of. But what the heck do I know? I'm just an amateur. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please leave a comment down below, and hopefully I will be able to respond to it. in an appropriate time and matter. I'm still going through a lot of comments that I've been missing or holding off, but I'll get to it eventually. I will get to it eventually. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.